How you doing, everyone? Welcome to the show today. When it's cold, the buttons don't work. All right, but anyway, welcome to the show. So glad you're here. The Isaac Hayes Show. This is your first time. Welcome, as always, to the show. So glad that you are a part of the Isaac Hayes family, or as I like to say, the Cajun conservative family. We're so happy to be with you here today. It is Friday. Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Already, think about this too. It is December 6th at the time of this recording and this live stream. We're only a couple of weeks away from 2025. We're also a couple of weeks away for the clarification of the certification of Donald Trump being the 47th president of the United States. And we're a little over a month away of him being inaugurated as the president of the United States. I do want to make this point. Don't put your trust in man. Put your trust in the Lord Jesus. A man will not fix our problems. Only Jesus can fix our problems. And we will be talking about that a little later on. We'll be talking about political division and what's going on in the Supreme Court right now, and violence that is erupting in our major city. And it is sweeping the nation in the news right now. But remember that Christ is king. I want to make that key right there, that keynote right there, because, yeah, look, I'm excited. Trump is coming back into office. And hopefully Trump will do what he did in the first term. I know a lot of the mainstream media and a lot of rhino Republicans, a lot of left-leaning Democrats will tell you, well, he didn't do nothing. He hurt us. And all I got to do is say, hey, show me where Donald Trump hurt us. Now, there were some things Donald Trump did in his first term I was not excited about, but at the same time, he was a way better president than President Biden and President Obama. So I'm hoping that he gets back into, when he gets back into office, he will continue doing what he's doing. But my faith and trust is in Jesus Christ. I had people tell me, throughout the campaign that, got a runny nose this morning. Were telling me throughout the campaign that I worship Donald Trump. And no, I didn't worship Donald Trump. I just try to bring the facts out. And that's what we want, to do here on the show. We want to bring the facts out. We want to bring out opinions. There might be some opinions that I have that you might not have, but guess what? We're going to push on through. Remember, guys, to hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, depending on the platform you're listening on. We're on several platforms. You can look at the website, theisaachayshow.wordpress.com, and you can also listen to the episodes. We have the link to Rumble on the show, on the website. So in case any other social media platform would decide, hey, we don't want him on no more, you can still watch us on Rumble. And Rumble is growing. I'm seeing the numbers. It is growing thanks to the support of Wendy Wild and Two Mics Live for helping push out the show, and everybody else that's in the chat right now. As you know, when a show's out, I try to engage with the chat as much as possible. These are all pre-recorded shows. All my faithful listeners will know what I'm talking about, and we're excited. Things are happening. All right, let's get into a couple of news stories and a couple of opinions I have. And I saw this news article from Breitbart the other day, and I want to go ahead and read you the article. It says 7 GOP senators most likely to stand between Trump and his dream cabinet. Now, that's the story is included with talking about some people opposing. Y'all gonna start getting used to that alarm, and it's in my pocket. This is a live show. All right. Anyway, and it's not people calling me. No, it's just I have to keep an alarm. If I don't keep an alarm, I will not wake up. Anyway, but like I said, the article came from Breitbart, and it was talking about 7 possible senators, Republican senators, that could oppose Trump during that some of them opposed Trump during his first term, and they're possibly going to hold up some of his key nominational picks. Now, this is all the result of Pete Hegseth, but at the same time, there's other picks that the Republicans are worried about. They're worried about Tulsi Gabbard. They're worried about Kash Patel. They're worried about RFK. They're worried about these positions. Now, I just find it ironic that that Republicans are questioning these picks from Donald Trump. Now, there's a reason why, and I'm gonna give you my reason in a little bit, but I want to bring you to the past though. Let's go back a couple of years when President Biden took office, when President Obama took office, and prior Democratic presidents that took over the White House. And look, I told y'all the other day I was born during the Kennedy era. So I don't remember the Kennedy picks. All right, maybe there's some in the chat that remember the Kennedy picks. But for sure Obama and for sure Biden, you never heard Democrats go on legacy media and say, oh, well, I have an issue with President Biden's pick. I have an issue with his pick on defense secretary or on the the attorney general. You never heard Democrats when they're in power have this issue. They always backed up the president-elect's picks. Why? Because Democrats understand the playbook. Listen, we might not like his pick, but we're going to go along with it because he's the president-elect. And, hey, we don't want to look like we're divided. We don't want to look like that we have an issue. Democratic picks never, ever have any issues getting confirmed if the Democrats are in power. If the Republican, let's even go with that. Let's go take that a step further. If a Democrat is elected and Republicans have the House and the Senate, 9 out of 10, their picks are going to go through. Why? Because the narrative is, hey, yeah, we won the House and we won the Senate, but the president is won by a Democrat and he needs to pass his agenda and we need to give him the people he wants. This is proven in another article that I have that says that 7 senators that were Republican voted to confirm Biden's pick for defense secretary. This is Lloyd Austin. Now, Lloyd Austin has not been the greatest defense secretary out there. Remember, the defense secretary one time was MIA. We didn't know he was in the hospital. We didn't know he was sick. He just vanished, and his second in command was running everything. No word to the president, no word to but 7 Republican senators voted. They voted to confirm Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Now, this is done because Republicans have the notion that if they go along with the Democrat Party on certain things, the public's going to look at Republicans and say, oh, they're willing to work with the Democrats. But there's a problem with that. There's a problem. It's called the media. The media will not, I repeat, they will not give any credit to Republicans. Yes, it will be a story for a day, maybe, but then it's going to go ahead and trashing Republicans again. Lisa Murkowski and the one from Maine, I can't think of her name at the moment, but those 2 ladies have been in the Senate for God knows how long, and they go to the other side and they work. And you know what? The Republicans the media still criticize them on a few things. If they vote one time with Donald Trump, they're nasty, homophobic, bigot Republicans. You never have the issue with Democrats confirming. But again, you have even some Republicans that confirm. But now let's go to our side. We have the House. We have the Senate. We're projected to hold all major branches of the federal government. And we're getting articles like this that I just got from Breitbart. How 7 likely senators are going to oppose Trump's picks. Again, this is going towards Pete Hegseth, and they're saying, he has a drinking problem. Oh, he has a sexual scandal. Oh, he backtalked his mama. And they're finding every excuse in the book They're even worried about Tulsi Gabbard, and they're worried about all the other ones I mentioned earlier. Now, not to mention 3 out of the 7 senators that were on the list in Breitbart voted to impeach Donald Trump back in 2021 on the January 6th insurrection, as they would like to call it. 3 out of the 7 senators. Now, we only have 53 seats in the Senate. We can only lose to get confirmed. They only need to convince 3 Republicans. And this is sad. This is showing weakness and division within the GOP and the Republican Party. And look, this isn't a thing of the past, no. Republicans have always done this. Every time Republicans have taken the lead in some way, shape, or form, they have messed it up. What am I talking about? You remember the first term with Donald Trump? Donald Trump had great plans, and Donald Trump, to try to win over some that were in the middle, encouraged Republicans to have Paul Ryan as House Speaker. And for the first 2 years of Trump's presidency, every time Trump would try to do something, Paul Ryan and the Congress were fighting Donald Trump like he was part of the opposing party. There was no unity there. There were no unity for the Republican Party. Yes, he did get the tax bill passed, and hopefully they can renew that this time around, because if that's not permanent, it's going to hurt millions of Americans, no matter what the Democrats say. Oh, it's helping the rich and hurting the poor. Hey, no, it helped me. I seen it for one check. If it wasn't for our governor at the time, that was a Democrat, we'd be, those tax breaks will still be helping us. And look, that's a perfect example. I'm glad I mentioned that. We had a Democrat governor with a Republican legislation. And you know what? He still got taxes raised. He still got things up. See, it don't matter where Republicans are, they're going to mess it up if you give them the opportunity. In my state, look, I have friends that are legislators. But I don't know why, but every time the Republican Party gets into power, they mess it up. They have a golden opportunity. The American people overwhelmingly supported Republicans in this last election. They wanted Donald Trump in office, and Donald Trump said, if you give me the House and you give me the Senate, we're going to do this. And you know what? You have establishment Republicans. That's the key. Establishment Republicans that, we don't agree with that, so we're going to oppose him every chance we get. We're elected now. We don't have to worry about it. Republicans need to stand up. Republicans need to do their job and be united and say, yeah, we're going to put Donald Trump's picks up there. And if the left and the media has their way, they're going to fight all these picks. And we're going to talk about why the Democrats are scared, but why are Republicans scared of Donald Trump's picks? Because some of these Republicans are establishment Republicans. Some of these Republicans like the flow is going right now. They like how things are going, and they don't want to rock the boat. So that's why they're opposing Donald Trump. That's why they're opposing Pete Hegseth. That's why they're opposing Tulsi Gabbard. They don't want the boat rocked. But it's showing division. It's not showing unity in the Republican Party. Granted, the Democrat Party, they're not too strong right now either. They have egg all over their face because of the pardon of Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. But Republicans don't take it for granted that the Republicans can mess something up. They can. And look, if these senators were in front of me, I would tell them, back up Donald Trump. Look, unfortunately, and look, this is close to home because unfortunately, one of these senators that might hinder Trump's picks is one of my own senators from Louisiana, Bill Cassidy. Now, if you listen to the Cajun Conservative prior to it being named the Isaac Hayes Show, you would know I'm not a fan of Bill Cassidy. It was reported Wednesday, I had to think about it, Wednesday or Thursday, that Bill Cassidy has a primary challenger. His name is John Fleming. I know Dr. Fleming. I've interviewed Dr. Fleming. I've talked to him on multiple occasions. Dr. Fleming is a conservative. He was part of the Trump campaign. You don't want Bill Cassidy to interrupt Donald Trump anymore? Vote for John Fleming. We know what John Fleming is going to do. John Fleming is going to support Donald Trump, but we still got Bill Cassidy for a year. Bill Cassidy's going to be there until 2026. He's one of the senators that's going to be in the midterms. People like that, we need to make sure they're not in office no more. So we don't have to worry about 7 rogue senators that are Republicans. We need to trust the process, and we need to trust Donald Trump. Because at the end of the day, if Republicans are not united and Republicans don't get this done, it's not benefiting them. It's benefiting the left and the media, because the left's going to say that the Republicans, they're not united. Republicans, they don't know what's happening. They don't know what they're doing. And you have Democrats going on the campaign trail. Yeah, them Republicans, they're not unified. They're messing up everything. Vote for us, and then our country's going to suffer because people, look, we only have a 1 to 2 seat majority in the House of Congress. Midterms are 2026. We need to make sure. We need to make sure that this don't happen again. I said John Fleming was running in 2025. Something like I know they in 2026 they flip. So I'm just saying the next term election is 2026 if I'm not mistaken. 2 years is not that long. 2 years is not that long, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get stuff done, and we need Republicans united. But unfortunately, the Republican Party, it's unpredictable. All right, let's move on. I just talked about Pete Hegseth and all this stuff. So Pete Hegseth faced intense media backlash over past allegations, and the Democrat Party attempts to discredit him as one of Trump's potential picks for the key administration role. In his response, Hegseth maintained he will stay in the fight. This is coming after Pete Hegseth finally went ahead and went on a media outlet. It was not the biggest media outlet, but it was Megyn Kelly. She has a big platform, and I think that he got his point across. But I want to discuss why the left fears Hegseth, because again, now this is just Hegseth. We talked about it earlier about Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel and I'm trying to think of RFK. These picks, they're a lot of people are attacking them. They're trying to show that this shouldn't be done, and these people are not qualified. And the left and the media are just bashing these people, but they're focused on Pete Hegseth for a reason, because they're trying to take out another Trump pick. If you remember, they had Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, and it didn't take long, but Matt Gaetz was removed. Now, Matt Gaetz, I didn't think was going to get confirmed. He made a lot of enemies on the right and the left. It wasn't that hard for the media to bash him like it is hard for them to bash Hegseth. Now that they got Matt Gaetz out the way, which is, I thought Matt Gaetz should have stayed in there. Now, his replacement is qualified. I'm not going to go ahead and argue that pick. I like that pick for Attorney General. But they were successful removing Gaetz. Now they're focusing on Hegseth. And look, it's funny how everything is coming out the window for this guy. What do I mean by that? Well, if you look at the stories that they're coming out with, first off, it was the sexual scandal. The scandal where the lady's like, oh, he went ahead and sexually assaulted me, and he forced himself upon me, and all this stuff. And when you start looking at videos, they were arm in arm walking to the hotel room. There's proof that she had a crush on Hegseth. There was no police report filed. When there was a police report filed and they did the test, the police department was like, we're not going to pursue it. The DA said, we're not going to pursue it. Because 9 out of 10, it was consensual. But you didn't hear that part of the media. All you heard was the media that, oh, Pete Hegseth has a woman problem. He has a lustful problem. Then they came out with this story about some emails, which I don't know who was the family member or who was. All this stuff, by the way, I think besides the first one, I don't know. I think almost all these sources that they're bringing, that people are quoting, are anonymous sources. They don't want to give their name. But somebody leaked a email from his mom to the media, and she was upset with him and used some choice words for him. Oh, even his family don't like him. Now you have the latest thing that's come out, that Pete Hegseth is a drunk and that he goes to work drunk. Now, all the people that went ahead and mentioned that he was drunk and drinking at work are anonymous sources, and several named sources, people that come out that are prominent influencers, I guess you could say, or they're on Fox News, or they're wherever Pete Hegseth worked at, said that's not true. But you're not hearing that from the media. All you hearing from the media is that Pete Hegseth is a drunk, and they don't think he should be part. And you even have part of the administration, and then you have some Republicans. Well, if he promises not to drink, we probably will confirm him. He'll ease my mind. Not looking at the facts, not looking at anything like that. This is. I'm going to be honest with you. This is all hit pieces on Hegseth. This is the left-leaning media trying to help out the Democrat Party and the establishment. They're trying to take out Pete Hegseth because Pete Hegseth is going to change the DEI programs of the military. Pete Hegseth has wrote several books on how this DEI is hurting the military. He has a vision. He has a plan to restore the Department of Defense back to where it was originally intended for, to protect our country. And they don't like that. They don't like that Trump's bringing in people that are going to change policies. This is why they're trying to stop Hegseth. This is why they don't want Tulsi Gabbard. This is why they don't want RFK. This is why they don't want Kash Patel, because these people are going to go in there and first put the department there and head up back to original intention. And then they're going to go ahead and investigate and make sure nothing was going on in these departments, or these departments wasn't weaponized or politicized. And we already know the Defense Department has been politicized. We know that the Department of Justice has been politicized and used to go ahead and go after political opponents of the Democrat Party. We know this already. This is why they're going after Hegseth. All these things that they're going for Hegseth, an anonymous source. When I hear that, I always cringe. We can't tell you who our sources is. And I understand that. I've talked to people and I'm like, hey, can I quote you on the show? No, I want to stay anonymous. Okay, I'm not going to quote you. But I was always taught, if you go ahead and, say somebody did something, the person you're accusing should be there to face you. Oh, I got a story about Hegseth, but don't tell people my name. Why? Oh, I'm scared that the Trump administration is going to come after me. No, that's not, because all this is faulty. And of course, the legacy media ain't going to go ahead and look at it. See, when I hear a story, I normally wait a little while and I get all the facts, and I'm making sure that you get all the facts. NBC, Hegseth has a drinking problem. Oh, really? Has the sources been confirmed? Yes, but we can't say their name. And then you have 5 other stories from different news outlets that say that ain't true. It ain't true what y'all saying. But the left won't retract anything. If they do, it's gonna be way at the bottom of the article. I've caught that already. I get a story and I'm like, man, this is horrible. And you read all the way and you're like, oh, well, it ain't true. And people won't do that. Okay, people like myself, Dr. Mike, and Scott Ford, and Kelby and Joe, we read the whole article. Well, and because of our job / hobby that we do here, we want to make sure all our stories line up and they're all factual. But we read through the whole story. We make sure everything is correct. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of people will just read the top article and that's it. They form an opinion. Or to read the title and that's their opinion. But we need to go ahead and make sure that Pete Hegseth, and look, I'm glad he's fighting. And we need to go ahead and avoid sabotage. Republicans need to not fall into this trap. And I talked about this earlier, and that's why I put this story second on the list today, because the Republicans, I believe, are falling into this trap. The 7 Republicans that we're watching right now are falling into this. They're following into the media's normal hit job scenario that they do. They don't care about Pete Hegseth. They'll smear his name not to go ahead and get investigated or not for things to change. And they're scared. The Democrat Party is scared of these pigs. They're scared because they know that Trump's coming in and he's coming in with a vengeance, and they know he's going to go ahead and investigate all the wrongdoing that has been happening for the last several years, which is his right as a president. And they're scared. What will he uncover? And if he has people that are like-minded, we've seen this already. We've seen when people are not like-minded, what happens. You had Mark Milley. You had all these other idiots that Trump picked that he didn't know better, and they were like, yeah, Trump, we're going to help your agenda. And on the right hand, they were like, no. They were telling the Democrats and the Republicans, hey, Trump's this, Trump's that, and they undermined Trump. And guess what? Nothing was hardly done in his first term. A lot of things were done because of executive order and all this stuff, but he did not have the support of his full cabinet. And this is what Trump wants this time. He wants people that are going to back him, and the establishment knows if that happens, all hell's going to break loose. And they don't want that. They want people that are going to undermine Trump. They're going to want people that will go, that don't want to fall in line with Trump's agenda. And look, this is why I think Pete Hegseth should stay in. This is why I think Tulsi Gabbard should stay in. RFK should stay in. These people need it. I don't agree with everything with RFK. But that's a whole argument too. Then we're going to go to our next story. All these Democrats and Republicans, I don't trust RFK. I don't do that. I don't think he's he's an independent that was a former Democrat. You know he's not going to stay. Him and Trump don't agree with everything. Ain't that a good sign? Nope. He's with Trump. He's a leftist. He's a right-wing conservative nut, and he has no credibility. Been a Democrat for years, but now all of a sudden RFK can't be qualified to do anything. All right, let's move on. The Supreme Court is hearing a case on transgenderism. This comes from a court case from Tennessee. The Supreme Court is deciding whether states can ban gender reassignment surgery for minors. The case has significant implications for children's rights and parents' control. So Tennessee is urging the court to rule in favor of rights to protect children, particularly in Tennessee where the ban is in place. So Tennessee went ahead and put a ban that said, look, children can't get transgender surgeries. And now the left is up in arms. I was hearing some audio from the court case the other day, and they were asking one of the lawyers something, and the lawyer came out and says if we don't give these kids transgender surgeries, they're going to be depressed, They're going to be suicidal and all this. And she made a remark, and this is why I have this analogy in here. She says some of these kids know they're not the gender they are at the age of 2 years old. And that's why these kids need to go ahead and have these surgeries. Now, I'm going to put it fault on the parent. You know, if a parent wants to believe that, you know, hey, all power to you, but God made them male and female. That is clear in Scripture. Science says there's only two genders. And when you're born, that's the gender you have, okay? I always looked at this this whole gender argument that you could say, hey, I can change my gender. I feel I'm something else. I feel, first off, this is an attack on Christianity. Because God said there was only two genders. God created science, and God made them male and female. So when a person looks at me, when I hear a person say that, oh, I feel that I'm in the wrong body or I'm the wrong sex, I always thought of it like this. You're telling God, hey, you made a mistake, and you shouldn't be in control of my decisions. This is why I say it's a rebellion. A rebellion against God, and it's an attack on Christianity. Because when you're born either a male or female, and it's very clear to see if you are a boy or a girl. God didn't put it to where you had to go looking for it. It was obvious, like, hey, it's a boy or it's a girl. That just and Tennessee is doing right by banning children from doing this. If you're 18 years old, I'm gonna make this statement too. If you're 18 years old and you want to do that to your body, all power to you. Or if you're 21, if you want to do that, if you're an adult and you've thought about this and you want to do it, all power to you. You are an adult. But children, as the lawyer said in these arguments, at 2 years old, they know what gender. Listen, I have a 10-year-old that don't know what he wants to do yet. My kids, if you go watch children, okay, go watch children and see what they're doing in the yard when they're playing. They have an imagination. They're dinosaurs. They're jet rockets. Children, look, there's some very smart children out there, but children at 2 years old can hardly talk. So if a 2-year-old comes out and says, hey, I'm a boy and it is a girl, or vice versa, does that really hold water? Does that really hold water? And for parents, or even for the state to say, oh, they know what gender they are at 2 years old. No, they don't. Children, unfortunately, don't understand when they're young a lot of stuff. Look, I tell young people that all the time. As a youth minister, I've got kids that come ask me some questions. I counsel them, and they look at me weird. And they're like, well, Brother Isaac, well, how do you know what should I do? Because I'm like, I was the dumb young person at one time too. I'm not trying to call you kids dumb or anything. I'm just saying. I have wisdom in that area because, unfortunately, I had issues. And I went through the problem you're going through. And this is how I went through it. Through the help of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now, this is the whole hypocritical part of this subject too, all right? The left would say that a 2-year-old can go ahead and make a decision on gender reassessment surgery. If they're 2 years old, if they're 10 years old, if they're 15 years old, Tennessee should allow them to have a surgery. Because they need to know, they need to have that comfort that you're reassigning their gender. Okay, if that's the case, we should let young people younger than 16 drive a car. Wait, what? No, we can't do it. Why? Well, they're immature. They don't know what they're doing. Before 16. Yeah, before 16, no, we shouldn't do that. Okay? If that's the case, we're going to go ahead and let them buy a firearm. Here in the state of Louisiana, I don't know how it's in other states, but a person can't buy a firearm until they're 18 years old. That's a long rifle or a long gun. A handgun you can't buy until you're 21. I think that's federal law. I don't think that's state law. I think that's federal law. So just imagine all over the country, Children can't buy a firearm at the age of 18. And they can't buy a long gun, and they can't buy a handgun until they're 21. Well, since they know what gender they are and they're capable of making that decision, well, hey, any child can go buy a firearm now. Oh, no. Why? Well, they're immature and they should have adult supervision. And really? So a child from 2 to whatever can make a decision on their gender to have a surgery to cut their body parts to make them another gender. They're capable and they're mature enough to make that decision. But they're not mature enough to drive a car or buy a firearm. And the left will argue this all. Yeah, they're not mature. They shouldn't. They're talking out of both ends of their mouth. If a child is not if a child ain't mature enough to do certain things before, look, let's even take out, look, let's hit close to home for a lot of you guys. Drinking. It is recommended that children can't buy alcohol. It's not recommended. It's law. People cannot buy alcohol until they're 21 years old. Yeah, because they need to get more mature. They need to understand what alcohol does to the body. Oh, really? Now, alcohol does things to the body. But they have to be educated, and they can't drink until they're 21. But you want these same people under the age of 21, from 2 to 21, to make a decision on transgender surgery. And look, the way I heard it is not looking good for the federal government, who is suing the state of Tennessee for this case. They didn't do a good job. This made history because it was the first transgender person to argue a case in front of the Supreme Court. But their arguments did not hold water. Justice Alito did a great job. Katina Brown, I want to go pull that article because she made a comment that was kind of like, huh? Let me go ahead and pull. Let me see. Where's it at? Yeah. Supreme Court Justice sparked social media firestorm for her comments on gender transition for minors. That's coming from Fox News. I want to pull her quote. If it works, the internet looks like it's kind of slow, and that ain't good for me if it's running slow. It will not load up. Wow. Anyway, we're not gonna worry about it. Oh, well, not right when I say that, of course. Right when I say that, it pops up. Let me see. Oh, nope. Yeah, there we go. Katina Brown Jackson was slammed on Wednesday after she compared a Tennessee law banning gender transition for minors to past laws banning interracial marriage. Justice Jackson and other justices heard over 2 hours of oral arguments during the U.S. versus Scottman case, which involves the constitutionality of states' law banning transgender medical procedure. I'm trying to, so Jackson said that she saw a parallel between U.S. the case against another landmark case, Loving versus Virginia in 1967. Interesting to me that you mentioned procedure, because some of these questions about sort of who decides and concerns of legislative progressives, etc., sound very familiar to me, Jackson said. They sound in the same kind of arguments that were made back in the day, 50s and 60s, with respect to racial clarification and in a concession. I'm thinking in particular about Loving versus Virginia, and I'm wondering whether you thought about the parallels, because I see one as to have the statute operations and how an anti-misogynist statute in Virginia operated. So she compared this to interracial marriages, but they're totally different. Okay, first off, interracial marriages, there are two consenting adults that are getting married of a different race. Now, I don't know what people believe on interracial marriages now, but they're two different things. So for her even to make the comparison is dumb. But this is something they're throwing baloney with mustard at the wall and hoping it sticks. Because see, they have to try to prove their point that this needs to happen and don't need to happen. And look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope the Supreme Court rules in the favor of the states because of two reasons. One, because it protects children, and two, states have the right if something isn't in the Constitution, the state has the right to make laws on it. This is why Roe v. Wade was overturned. It went back to the states. And Tennessee needs to hold their ground. And I think that the ruling ain't going to come out for several months, but I have a feeling that it's going to go our way in the country. All right, another article, and look, I have not been seeing a lot of news about this. I ran across it. Excuse me. And I think that this is important to bring about, and this is concerning our Second Amendment rights. Mexico is suing U.S. gun manufacturers, claiming that the firearms are being used by Mexican cartels and that those manufacturers should be held accountable for the violence. And Ted Cruz and several other GOP senators are urging the Supreme Court to go ahead and take up this case because Mexico is trying to take away basically our Second Amendment right. And it's on the key argument of, that manufacturers are to blame for certain gun violence. And there was a case, I can't remember what it was. I know it was maybe a few years ago, where I think it was a state that was suing Remington. And they were trying to say because there was a school shooting that you had to blame the firearm manufacturers, and they were suing the firearm manufacturers because they use a Remington or a Smith & Wesson or whatever. Now, this is the issue that I have with cases like this. It's not the gun's fault. It's not the gun's fault, and it's not the manufacturer's fault. I use this analogy all the time. I'll take a firearm, and I'll ask, any volunteer to come and me, hey, I'll put the gun on the side, on the table, and I'll say, look, tell it to shoot. The gun's on the table. Don't touch the gun. Nobody touch the gun. Leave the gun alone. Leave the firearm alone. Put it on the table and say, shoot. Shoot. It's not going to shoot. Why? Because you got to pull the hammerhead. You got to pull the trigger, which releases the hammerhead, hit the round on the firing pin. It sparks. It hits the gunpowder. It hits all the mechanisms in the fire until it releases the BBs or the cartridges. But there has to be somebody holding the firearm and pulling the trigger even pull out back the hammerhead to start that process. And Mexico blaming gun manufacturers because the cartels are using their guns for violence is not the gun manufacturer, or it's not the gun is not the problem. It's the cartel that's the problem. These individuals somehow or another are getting guns that are made from the United States. And they're doing damages. They're doing violence in Mexico. So for Mexico to sue American companies and tell them, y'all endorsing the violence. No, they're not. They're selling a product. And I just look. This is a stupid lawsuit in my humble opinion. And when people's like, well, Isaac, they should bear some responsibility. Really? Do we blame a car manufacturer for somebody texting and driving and getting in a wreck and hurting people? You never hear of a lawsuit. And look, this is president. Okay, if that happens, somebody texting driving and they have an accident, you can start suing the car manufacturer. They should have made a product that was wreck-proof. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a dangerous lawsuit. Why? Because it's attacking our Second Amendment right. Every American has a Second Amendment right to protect themselves. Well, Isaac, how is that against our Second Amendment? Because if Mexico wins and Remington or whoever the gun manufacturer is that has to pay this out, they can go out of business, and it's another way to stop us from getting firearms. Also, why is Mexico worried? Okay, look, I understand that the violence is happening in their country, but why they're not going after the cartel and they're going after gun manufacturers? You see, their focus is off a little bit. You shouldn't be blaming these gun manufacturers or suing them. And I think Ted Cruz and other senators are right. They need to urge the Supreme Court to pick this up, because this is a constitutional issue. Mexico is attacking our Second Amendment right. I feel that. I could be wrong, and you might have a different opinion, but I feel they're attacking our Second Amendment right, and they're attacking an American company. They don't need to attack America. Whoever they're attacking, look, if you want to go after gun manufacturers in Mexico, by all means, go. That's Mexico. They have their own set of laws. But don't go after an American company, because we made a product, and these cartels are getting guns illegally. Okay, that's a whole other thing too. All right, well, they're getting these guns. How are they getting these guns? Are they buying them in America then coming over? If that's the case, then there's an issue at the Justice Department, because you're supposed to pass a 4473 and a federal background check to buy a firearm. So if they're not buying it legally, you have to assume they're getting it illegally, meaning somebody's stealing guns, or they're picking up guns from people that shouldn't be picking up. Don't blame the gun manufacturer. Blame the criminal. And look, it goes to the same thing, you know, the hypocrisy of the left. These people need to be held accountable for selling these firearms. It's not their fault. It's the criminal's fault. But again, this is part of the hypocrisy of the left, and it needs to be stopped. All right. The White House made made an announcement, or the White House is expected, to issue more pardons as President Biden's term nears its end, including controversial figures like Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and Anthony Fauci. Critics question why these individuals would need pardons if they did nothing wrong, and I'm one of them critics. So again, the White House, on the tail end of the pardon for Hunter Biden, the White House, and look, this isn't normal when a outgoing president is out the end of his term, he hands out pardons. But normally the pardons are to people that, you know, it was proven they didn't do wrong and they're still in jail, or they paid their debt to society, and all this stuff. So I'm not against a presidential pardon. I think there should be some stipulations to it. Going back to the Hunter Biden incident, crimes he may have done. No, a pardon should be for crimes that has been done. You get what I'm saying? If Biden wanted to go ahead and pardon his son for the tax evasion and the gun crime, that wouldn't have been an issue. We would have had an issue with it because he's letting crime slip by. It's what really bothered me is crimes he may have done, and that pardon is going to cover. That pardon shouldn't cover that. It should be for crimes that have been committed and he has been convicted for, not for crimes he may have done. That's the part I disagree with a pardon, and this is the issue I'm having with this part, these discussions of pardons for Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and Anthony Fauci, and several other key figures. Now, all these people that were mentioned in the article, which was done by, I think, by Breitbart. Let me go ahead and go to my notes with the stories on them. Trying something new here this morning, and I'm gonna have to work on like getting articles and whatnot. But anyway, all these people to what I know, haven't committed a crime. Now, you can have the argument with Dr. Fauci and everything. Yeah, it came from Breitbart. White House says, expect more pardons at the end of Joe Biden's term. And they mentioned, again, Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and all this stuff. But these people, in my humble opinion, well, and what I know of, and my knowledge could be limited on this issue, they haven't done anything wrong. Why are we giving a pardon to people that have not done nothing wrong or have not been convicted of doing anything wrong? Okay, again, I understand if the president wants to give a pardon to somebody that has done something wrong. But for these individuals, they have not committed a crime that I am aware of, and they have not been convicted of a crime. So is the pardon going to be in case they have done something wrong? We're going to pardon them. If they haven't done anything wrong, why are they getting pardoned? Also, this is raising a concern about accountability and transparency, yes. But Biden doing this, is he trying to shield these figures from political fallout. Remember, Donald Trump is coming in there, and he's going to look at a couple of things. And will these people be involved? Now, it raises another question, too. If Biden is considering these pardons, what is he afraid they're going to uncover in an investigation? Will it tie back to him? Will something happen? Will something pop up saying that he was involved with something that he shouldn't have been involved with? And why is the media pushing these pardons? That's another question I have. Because the media is like, he should pardon, or pundits are pushing, or he should pardon this one, he should pardon that one, he should pardon. It's funny how this whole Hunter Biden stuff opened a can of worms now. Everybody wants a pardon. Everybody. As I think it was Coco that comes into the chat. Coco and me was messing around in the chat the other day. He's like, you get a pardon, you get a pardon. I replied, everybody get a pardon. Do the Oprah thing. Why are these people? Why is the White House considering these pardons for these people, these figures that were key on COVID and the impeachment trial and all, why a pardon for them? There's maybe something shady in Denmark, and Biden knows it's going to tie to him. Because remember, I believe the reason he did a pardon was not because of the love of Hunter. It was because he wants to stay free, and he don't want his reputation tarnished, which it has already been. All right, drones fly over Trump's golf course. Authorities are investigating unusual drone activity over Trump's golf course in New Jersey and also a military base. The origins of the drones and the potential security threats are still unclear. You read a story like this, who is behind the drone activity? And is there immediate danger to Trump and the safety of the public? Right now, they saying, hey, there's no immediate threat. But I believe there is a threat because the FCC went ahead and said, look, we're going to go ahead and call that a no-fly zone. And look, that should have been already a no-fly zone. Look, when you hear drones flying over a military base and the future president of the United States golf course, that is kind of scary. Okay, that is kind of scary. What are they trying to do? What are they looking for? Is this a foreign entity that is trying to get our military secrets, or after our next president of the United States? Now, what's funny is all these people are like, "Oh, there's no immediate threat." How do you know? You hadn't done an investigation yet. And this is concerning to me because again, a president's golf course and a military base. The FCC needs to do something about this. And look, it's not UFOs. I've seen the pictures. They don't look like drones. They look like planes. And people are starting to look. Now, look, we haven't heard anything since then. But it needs. Look, we might have to get Dr. Mike or Michael Calderitz because New Jersey's in their backyard. Maybe they're seeing things fly around. Well, Mike Calderitz might be if he's drinking too much. I don't know. But this stuff needs to be taken serious. Who is behind these things? And we need answers. Now they have ramped up security, so that's a good thing. We need answers like we need answers to the Trump assassination attempt, which was trying to happen yesterday. But during the hearing on the Trump assassinations, there was an exchange between lawmakers and a Secret Service agent, the guy that took over for the disgraced Secret Service agent that allowed what happened in Pennsylvania with Donald Trump. And it was all talking about accountability and transparency in protecting the former president, but the lack of significant answers during the hearing raised questions about how the Secret Service handled the situation and whether they are fully transparent with the public. Now, this all started with the congressman asking a question related to an event where Biden and Trump was there. It was a 9/11 event, and they were asking why the guy wasn't there. Now, this is the thing I want to ask on this part. Did this question was relevant to what happened on Donald Trump? I don't think so. So the congressman asking this, now he was maybe trying to get to a point. So I will give him the benefit of the doubt. He was maybe trying to get to talking about, hey, y'all need to protect the presidents a little bit more. So I will give him that. But you know, these questions, hey, let's focus on the issue that there was a former president who is going to be the next president of the United States They had an assassination attempt on his life, and there was a lot of things that happened that day that shouldn't have happened. So we need to get to the bottom of this. There's still questions that are not answered, by the way, on what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. It needs to get done. But now, look, I understand the Secret Service agents too. Hey, you're attacking my organization. You're attacking my integrity. I understand all that. But even that was a lack of respect for a congressman. I understand he pushed a button and you lost your cool, but do you really want a man that's going to lose his cool like that in the face of pressure to lose his cool? No, you want him to stay calm. You want him or her to stay calm. Now, look, this whole thing, we should have found out answers yesterday. We didn't find out no answers either. That was the highlight of the whole hearing. That a congressman from Texas and the Secret Service leader were bickering and fighting. And look, I think it looks bad on the Secret Service that this man started yelling at a congressman. Now, Donald Trump, I think he has picked somebody that's going to be, I can't think of who it is right off the hand, but is going to run the Secret Service. And let's hope that the Secret Service gets back to its former glory. There's some that even call it the Dan Bongino. I know why Dr. Mike is calling for Dan Bongino. He wants his spot on the radio, and he deserves it if he gets it. But I don't think Dan Bongino's good. I think Dan Bongino's making more money being on that radio spot than he would. Then again, who knows? If he gets the call, who knows? But anyway, there needs to be accountability and transparency in this investigation, and I'm not seeing it right now. I'm not seeing it at all whatsoever. All right, last story of the day. I might make it before Handy News starts. We're going to be transitioning to Handy News. We'll be rating his show as we do always on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're going to have a great weekend. But the last story is talking about the United Healthcare worker, CEO, that was shot and killed in New York City. And I didn't watch the video, but I seen pictures and I heard about it. About the man that shot this the CEO, who is not found yet. At the time of this recording, they don't know where he is, or I thought it was a professional job, to be honest with you. And you watch movies of these professionals. They didn't have no pictures of him, his face, but they started to find pictures. They found his house or his apartment or his hotel, wherever he was at. They found out that he took a Greyhound bus from Atlanta to go do this. So look, they don't know where he's at. Okay, New York City is a big city. Okay, I understand if somebody can get lost in the crowd. But this man's face is plastered all over the nation, and we still can't find him. I'm just making that point out there. But unfortunately, this happened in New York City, where the CEO was walking down. Guy comes out the blue, mask, hands, his hands were covered. I think he even had a silencer, somebody said, and took this poor man out. Now, this man had a family. And understand, United Healthcare worker, and he was getting threats. There was even said that the shooter went ahead and left messages on the casings. He left the casings there on purpose. So I understand, probably people were upset at this man, but there's no reason for this to happen. You shouldn't be that mad to where you want to go take somebody's life out. This man had a wife, he had a family. Now, okay, the kids are not going to have a daddy no more. Look, I don't know if this man was corrupt or not. Maybe he was a law-abiding citizen and loved his family. We don't know. But this range of violence, just to go, hey, we can't get what we want, or we're not satisfied, we're gonna take actions on our own hand, is wrong. And again, look, he's being pursued by law enforcement, and look, I hope they find him. This whole story is tragic. It's tragic, and this should never happen. But I'm going to say this tragedy does highlight a couple of things, in my opinion. First off, it shows violence in America. Now, we don't know how old this young man is and stuff like that, but, this isn't a video game. In real life, you fire a firearm at somebody, it could hurt them or, unalive them. And this whole promotion of violence it's not good in our nation, and these acts of violence are becoming more common. Now, why is these acts of violence are being more common? Well, it's because of a nation that has forgotten God. If a nation that forgets God, the Bible says it's going to be turned over to itself. What it means? It means that destruction and violence is going to run rampant, and we're seeing this in America right now. America is in a dark side right now. And this is why I want to encourage you as the listeners. Don't put your faith and trust in a politician. Okay, we're in a dark place in America, and we know that is because people put us in that place, and we should blame them people for putting it in place. But I'm hearing a lot of Christians particularly say, well, Donald Trump's going to be in office in January. It's going to be all fixed. Don't put your faith and trust in Donald Trump. Donald Trump's going to do great things, I believe, for this nation, but don't put your faith and trust in Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a man. He's going to fail you. Every person on this planet is going to fail you, but there's going to be one person that's never going to fail you, and that is the Lord Jesus Christ. And this is why I'm calling you, if you're a Bible-believing Christian and you have a prayer life, pray for revival. Pray for a spiritual awakening in America. If you listen to all if you listen to a lot of testimonies from Great Awakenings, you would notice that a lot of things happened. Violence went down. Morality went up during spiritual awakenings. This nation needs a revival. And look, we don't need to look to a politician, Democrat or Republican. If you think Joe Biden was going to do the job, well, guess what? Don't put your faith and trust in Joe Biden. If you think Donald Trump's going to do the job, well, don't put your faith and trust in Donald Trump. Hope they do good. Don't get me wrong. But we need to pray for a spiritual awakening. And I look at this incident a little different. I know a lot of people, well, this is a tragedy. Yeah, but this is a result of a nation that has forgotten God. And a nation that does not have morals no more. And we need to get back to that. And look, I'm hoping Donald Trump, that his first term, he welcomed pastors in to pray with him. And I hope this happens again, because Donald Trump took their counsel. Donald Trump did things that were more along my spiritual and biblical beliefs than the Democrats have done. We need a spiritual and moral revival in this country to restore our peace and our unity. And we need to. Yeah, hey, look, again, on the issue with the gun and stuff, because people are like, well, that was gun violence, yeah, but it was the idiot behind the gun. Let's pray that they catch this man and justice will be served. That's another thing too. It amazes me with all these pictures that are going out, they cannot find this man yet. And who knows, at the time of this recording, they maybe already found him. We won't know. I know they found his apartment and all that, so we're gonna have to see. With that being said, that's gonna wrap up this episode of the Isaac Hayes Show. As always, thank you for being part of the show. We love you guys. Please remember again to like, follow, and subscribe, depending on the platform you're listening on. Let's pray that the Lord does something great this weekend. We have our Christmas party for our church, for our youth group. I'll be cooking, I think some gumbo. So I'm gonna have a good weekend. And remember, be safe, be encouraged. Jesus Christ is King. And he's coming back, and he's coming back soon. So don't be faint of heart, because Jesus has already won the war. We just need to put our faith and trust in him, and we will be all right. Again, with that being said, you have a good one. Be blessed. We will see you next time here on the Isaac Hayes Show. So see you Monday, guys.